Hammerhead has exploded onto the cycling computer scene in the recent years, with the original Karoo proving to be enormously popular, and now the Karoo Two looks to carry on that mantle. It's based on an Android operating system and looks to blend the functionality of both a mobile phone with a cycling computer. Today, I'm going to give you my review. Open up the good-looking box and you'll find the device in the first shelf, and then you'll pull out the shelf below and then a drawer. Very well-engineered box, and in here you'll have a charging cable and lanyard, the out front mount, an Allen key, and also the adapter for a Garmin out front mount. And this is something that Karoo does, which is really smart, is it allows you to hook it up to whatever your Garmin mount is. All of the setup of the Hammerhead Karoo Two is actually done on device, which is slightly different to, say, the Garmin Edge 830, which offers you a blended option of either setup on the device or setup via your phone, and the Wahoo Element Roam, which is all set up completely on your phone. So if you turn it on, the first thing it will tell you to do is to sign in to a Wi-Fi. Now, I recommend you find a particularly stable Wi-Fi, not, say, a hotspot on your phone, because I did have some instability issues when it came to setting up this device using a hotspot. So if you use a stable Wi-Fi, it'll ask you to log into that, and then you'll need to set up an account. Now, you'll need to set up an account using the Karoo dashboard online rather than on the device itself. Confusingly, it does have a companion app on phone, but it's really not up to very much. On Android, it's basically purely a vehicle to send notifications to your device, and on iOS, I actually couldn't even get my phone to pair with the Karoo Two. It just kept looking for the Karoo One option. So the companion app isn't much of an asset when it comes to setting up this device. Once you've set up your account online, head back to the device, and prompted, you'll put your login in and sign in. Then it's all about profiles. Exactly like a Garmin device, you can set up multiple different profiles. I've got mine set up to be road and gravel, but you could have them for, say, your bikes or, basically whatever you wanted it to be. And once you've done that, you need to set up your data fields. Now, the Hammerhead Karoo Two offers a whopping 23 available layout screens, including everything from little boxes for data fields right through to various graphs for heart rate, elevation, whatever it might be. The maximum number of data fields on each screen is 10, which is really good if, like me, you like to cram all of your information onto the one screen. However, I have also been taken with the Karoo Two's options of graphs to show me my heart rate zone or even my elevation when I'm riding along. To connect a third-party app, you need to go back to the dashboard on a web browser and connect it through there. I've connected mine to Strava and Komoot because they're the two third-party apps that I use, but you can also do it with things like Training Peaks and Ride with GPS. The Karoo Hammerhead 2 has gone for a blended button and touchscreen approach. There are 4 buttons, 2 big ones on each side and 2 smaller ones on each side. But I'm going to start by talking about the touchscreen because the Karoo Hammerhead 2 is markedly better than the competition when it comes to touchscreens. It feels so much closer to a mobile phone. You can move around the device in a really fast and lag-free way, and when it comes to mapping, you can use a pinch and zoom interface, which just makes it so much easier to move about a map and to see where you are when you're not relying on buttons or on a laggy touchscreen. This is the best that I've tested. What's more, the typing experience on this is just superb, and that's not really something I ever thought I'd say about a cycling computer. The Hammerhead Karoo Two is a chunky device when you look at it. It's closer to a Garmin Edge 830, although it is certainly wider, it has more depth to it, and it is marginally larger than a Wahoo Element Roam, although the bezel on the screen is compatible to both of those. As I mentioned before, the Hammerhead opts for a blended button and touchscreen setup, and the device has 4 buttons on each side. The top left and top right don't actually do anything when you're on the home screen. Instead, they alter the data page when you're riding along. The bottom left button takes you back to the home screen, or when held, it allows you to restart or power off the device. It also pauses active rides. The bottom right button starts a ride from the home screen and sets a lap. If you hold it, it opens up multiple screens just like on an Android phone. To end a ride, you press pause and then you slide it across to the checkered flag. Now, the buttons don't give an enormous amount of feedback when you press them, and if you're wearing gloves, it can be particularly difficult to know if you've activated a change. The same can be said for the screen. It's a little bit difficult to move if you're wearing gloves, but it's still better than the competition. Some other details that make it closer to a mobile phone than the cycling computer competition is that it uses a USB-C port for charging. Now, slightly alarmingly, there is no flap to cover the USB-C port, so it is open to the elements. Hammerhead say it is waterproof to an IPX7 rating, but it still does make me nervous having it just open like that. Now, I quickly just want to make a special mention to the mounts, because I think this is where the Karoo really shines. It has its own out front mount, which I'll admit is a little bit agricultural in its design, although it does provide a very solid connection with the device. But the way it really wins is it provides you with this, which is a Garmin mount adapter. So this plugs into the back of the device, and then that can plug into any Garmin mount you have, whether that is Garmin's own out front mounts or a K-Edge mount that you might have bought separately. That's a really neat little trick, and I absolutely love it. As I mentioned before, the Karoo 2 builds from an Android operating system, and although it doesn't really look anything like a mobile phone, users of Android devices will find there are some familiar features that they'll get to know quite quickly. For example, if you pull down from the top, you'll pull down a set of bars where you can turn on the Wi-Fi, you can put in a SIM card for mobile data, auto pause is on, audio alerts, battery save. It really does feature an Android-esque display. Likewise, when you hold that bottom right button during a ride and it opens up all of the active screens, that's something that is directly copied from Android mobile phones. Moving on to mapping. The mapping is robust. It's a decent sized screen, which makes it easy to see where you're going when you have a route loaded. You can load routes from either Strava or Komoot or whatever your third-party account might be. You just need to do that at the dashboard and then port it across by connecting to a Wi-Fi network. Once you've got the route loaded, it's very easy to see where you're going, with the map displaying chevrons along the road to show you where to go next, and the turn-by-turn prompts come up in a timely manner and make it clear and easy to see where you're meant to be going. It does have compatibility with all major sensors, including heart rate, cadence, speed, and power. And if you download training plans from places like Garmin or Training Peaks, you can also control an erg mode on a trainer through the devices too, which keeps it bang up to date with the competition. It's also got Strava Live segments, as you might expect. You can change your data screen options from within a ride. You just have to hold the bottom right button and it'll ping up all the separate pages, that very Android experience. And then you tap the home button and you go back and you can alter your setup. Now, it's not quite as simplistic as a Garmin, say the Edge 830 or the 1030 Plus, where you can just press the data screen and hold it and make a change like that. But it's still there once you know how to do it. As I've mentioned, the app mostly exists to seemingly send notifications from your phone to the device, and this device can handle a whole load of notifications from lots of different types of platforms. For example, it gets all of the Google Suite notifications if you want to get your emails when you're out riding, but it can also get Facebook Messenger, which is probably more useful, although I would say be careful, because when I connected to this phone, I just started getting notifications like crazy when I was riding along, and actually, you know, that's not for everyone. Let's just put it like that. The app itself, although limited, clearly has lots of potential, and it wouldn't surprise me if Hammerhead made greater use of this in the future. They just haven't done it quite yet. Moving on to battery life. As I mentioned before, it charges via a USB-C port, which has the benefit of a fast charging system. So 30 minutes charge in the wall socket will give you 30% battery, an hour will give you 50%, and it takes just 3 hours to get a full charge. Now, this has bags of potential for when you're bike packing, for example, or doing overnight trips. It just makes it that bit easier to charge up. The claimed battery life by Hammerhead is 12 hours, although in our experience, we've probably got closer to 8 hours, depending on, of course, the temperature you're riding in, the length of your ride, and how many sensors you have working with the computer. Costing £359, the Karoo Hammerhead 2 is probably most comparable to the Garmin Edge 830 for a little over £300 and the Wahoo Element Roam for just under £300. Now, compared to the Edge 830, the Karoo 2 definitely has the better screen, but it is less well established and I have found it to be a little less stable than its Garmin counterpart. Meanwhile, the Wahoo Element Roam is harder to use with its buttons, which aren't particularly easy to press compared to this excellent touchscreen on this device, but the Wahoo has the Karoo button in its setup process, which is all just done through a smartphone. Ultimately, I think the Hammerhead Karoo 2 is offering a promise of more to come in the future. It's got an absolutely terrific screen, best in class without a doubt, and it offers a really useful mounting system where it can use Garmin mounts as well as its own. However, it's got quite an unstable setup process, which is a little finicky, and there's not a huge amount of back-end support, either from the dashboard or from the mobile app. However, if you want a device that works well once it's set up and doesn't have a huge amount of data to get bogged down in on the back end, the Hammerhead Karoo 2 could be the device for you. So there you go, that's my review of the Hammerhead Karoo 2. If you have enjoyed this video and found it useful, please do give us a thumbs up. If you have any further questions, pop them in the comments section below and I'll do my best to answer them. Don't forget to subscribe to the Cycling Weekly YouTube channel and I'll be back soon with more great tech content.